This is the early morning of the 3rd of December 2023. Had a difficult time sleeping last night, and my mind started to race. I posted a video yesterday after I was alerted to it by one of my subscribers. He had made a comment and he attached a link, and he showed Punga boats invading Southern California coasts. Malibu, Huntington Beach, as well as another very well populated area, Laguna Beach. Now, I said in that video, don't you find it odd that these invaders melted into the night? Hmm? One question you have to ask yourself is did they melt in the night or were they picked up? I'm going to attach three links. The first link talks about the Trojan horse. The next link talks about Operation Grief. And the third link, well, the third link talks about Iran and their proxies. Now, when you look back on videos of these illegals crossing our border, what do you notice? Well, many are young men, fighting age men, and many of them have cell phones. You can see them in various clips where they're sitting in various cities against the walls of stores and they're on their cell phone. Now, question you have to ask yourself is how do they have money for the cell phone or for the service required by the cell phone? Well, this brings me back to Iran. Now, I'm going to talk about the Trojan horse first. The Trojan horse, a huge hollow wooden horse constructed by the Greeks to gain entrance into Troy during the Trojan War. The horse was built by Epius, a master carpenter and pugilist. The Greeks, pretending to desert the war, sailed to the nearby island of Tenedos, leaving behind Sinos, who persuaded the Trojans that the horse was an offering to Athena, goddess of war, that would make Troy impregnable. Despite the warning by Laocoon and Cassandra, the horse was taken inside the city gates. That night, Greek warriors emerged from it and opened the gates to let in the returned Greek army. The story is told at length in Book 2 of the Aeneid and is touched upon in the Odyssey. The term Trojan horse has come to refer to subversion introduced from the outside. Beginning in the late 20th century, the name Trojan horse was applied to deceptively benign computer codes that seem like legitimate applications, but are written to damage or disrupt a computer's programming or to steal personal information. Now, that's one of the articles that I provided. The other, again, talks about Operation Grief. Now, in Operation Grief, the Nazis took American uniforms and they were worn by Nazis, and they would misdirect the Cannonball Express trucks that were bringing both food and ammunition to the front lines. Again, that's Operation Grief. I'll attach the link. You take a look at it. And again, the third link talks about Iran and what they've done to create the proxies. All of these events are throughout history, and they all accomplish the same objective: to infiltrate, to dominate, to subjugate. It isn't much different than our own government. We've got Muslims in our Congress. I suspect they're probably also in the Senate. We've got Muslims as attorney generals, like in Minnesota with Keith Ellison. He was actually the first representative in Congress that was a Muslim. And now this guy's attorney general. He's the one that was vehemently involved in prosecuting police officer Derek Chauvin and the other 3 police officers that were simply doing their jobs. Folks, I believe we are being infiltrated by these desert rats. And when they step off those pango boats onto the shores of Southern California, they're picked up by operators working for Iran. They're housed, they're fed, they're provided whatever medical services they might require, and their purpose isn't any different than the Trojan horse. The Greeks could not penetrate the walls of Troy, nor could they breach the gates of Troy. So what they did, again, is outlined in an article. They built the Trojan horse full of Greek warriors. And Troy pulled the Trojan horse inside their compounds. And at night, those Greeks left the Trojan horse and opened the gates for the Greek army to come in and slaughter the warriors in Trojan. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is exactly what's happening. And what amazes me is nobody seems to be aware and asking the question, well, what happened to those people that left those Pongo boats in 3 beaches that we're aware of? How many landings have taken place that we haven't been made aware of? And how come no one is searching for those individuals? Well, you're not going to find them. They've melted into the people within Southern California that are gainfully employed by the Iranians. If you don't think that's what's happening, you're not thinking. And again, it just blows my mind that nobody in our government, like our FBI, is talking about any of this. People just don't land on a beach in a foreign country and disappear unless they've been picked up to do exactly that, which is what I believe they've been picked up to do. And when there's enough of them, well, they infiltrate, to dominate, to subjugate. And that's happened throughout history. It happened in Egypt. It happened in Jordan. It happened in Syria. They tried to make it happen in Israel, but so far it hasn't worked. Folks, nobody does for you what I do. The reason I can come up with these various scenarios is I've done this for 10 years. There isn't a whole lot that gets by me. And what you need to do is you need to send a copy of this to your worthless representatives. Send a copy to that Christopher Wray. Ask Chris to look into it. It's just mind-blowing that a guy sitting in his office staring at his iMac computer can come up with these scenarios And our FBI and our CIA and our DOJ, they can't. Again, folks, I cannot do this alone. You need to repost this. You need to pass it along to your worthless representatives. You might want to send a copy to Chris and ask Chris to look into it. He certainly does look like he's, one of those, doesn't he? He even has a bit of a lisp, but that's a whole different story. Look at the 3 links and tell me where you think I'm wrong. You can't, can you? Go look at the videos of all of these illegals crossing the border. How many of them are on cell phones? It's insane, folks. Problem I've got is the same problem you've got. Who are you going to go to? You going to go to Chris? Huh? How about Merrick Garland, that scary-looking attorney general? Oh, I know. You could go to Donald J. Trump. You know, the guy that was a Democrat all of his life and became a Republican when he wanted to run for the presidency as a Republican. The whole thing's insane. Again, the 3 links will be attached. Look at them. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. You can't, can you?